We should read this story because this is crazy. Look at this. Elon Musk mom on Twitterverse pleas to deactivate Teslas in Russia.
What?
Who in their right mind? Look at this. CEO Elon Musk has been mum on requests from Twitter users to shut down Teslas in Russia. This as he provides free internet access to Ukraine and free charging for all electric cars in nearby countries. Here's an idea. Shut down all Tesla cars in Russia with a note. Hi, guys. You'll get your cars back when you stop fighting Ukraine, one user tweeted. What? Another said, time to shut down Russian Teslas with a kill switch. I know you can do it. So far, Musk hasn't responded. Now, the first thing I want to say is, well, they do mention, Elon Musk says, in reference to censorship, he's been told by some governments to block Russian news sources. We will not do so unless at gunpoint. Sorry to be a free speech absolutist. Bravo, good sir.
Yeah.
I also want to point out, look, some Twitter users tweeting at Elon Musk does not a story make.
Exactly.
But the sentiment among these pro-war people is kind of nightmarish. These are torch-wielding, pitchfork-wielding people who are like screaming, burn the witch. And they do it for everything. Like the video I like to bring up where the guy's chasing the woman around the store because she's not wearing a mask. And he's like, is anybody else mad that we all have to wear masks and she doesn't? Like, these people are the kind of people who just want to grab they're like waiting outside saying, ooh, let me get a pitchfork. Let me get a pitchfork. I want to chase people and scream. The idea that we're not going to war, resulting in them just saying escalate the pressure and the tension and the pain, is a scary thought. Perhaps what we're dealing with in this great culture war or cold civil war is a kind of yin yang. And we are the people who are kind of like, we should reduce suffering as much as possible. And they're the kind of people who are like, we should increase as much as possible.
Yeah, I actually tweeted, I was like, what is going to happen when people can't afford to drive to work? And I had people responding to me saying, they deserve to suffer. You know, we should raise the price of gas, or like the price of gas is much, much higher in the UK. That's fine. They should raise it higher. People need to buy electric vehicles. And I was like, what are you talking about? You're just raising net suffering in the world. For what purpose?
It's because they don't have a point of reference. It doesn't actually affect their life.
Exactly.
So they're not going to care.
Right.
And it's crazy because I always used to talk about cancel culture and why cancel culture will ultimately lead to stuff like this. And people don't get it. It's literally just wanting to incite more pain. But what is that actually going to do?
Right.
Make things worse.
Right.
Yeah, but they don't know that.
Or they do.
Or maybe they do.
Like
They
it.
do, yeah.
It reminds me of a kid who's torturing ants. You
Yeah, I
know,
knew
they
kids
just
like that,
revel.
man.
Yeah. It's they're just reveling in the suffering of others. It's really weird, man.
That is psychopathic, to revel in the suffering of others. And to think that other people deserve to suffer for not following your particular ideology is probably as close to evil as anything that I can come up with.
I'll give you guys something to ponder. So I was thinking about this several years ago. I think when I might have been in Ukraine or something. I might have been in Ukraine. Yes, it was like 2013, 2014. And like why people are protesting. And I thought about how they say like the economy is really bad. And, you know, we work for a month and the average income is like $400 a month or something. And they were like, if we join the EU, the economy will be better and everyone will have, you know, better access to things. And then I was like, what would happen if the cost of water was greater than the cost of labor? If that ever happened, you will get total revolution instantly. Total revolution. So we pay our water bills when you live in a city, right? So Detroit, this is what kind of got me thinking about it. It was the Detroit and the Flint water stuff. It's the most expensive in the nation. I don't know if it still is, but it was at the time. And the reason was, there's an activist I know who's based in Detroit who was working on fixing the pipes when all this was going down. And he said that it used to be cheap to get water to your house. But the more people leave Michigan, then the more the cost of the water system is spread out among the remaining population.
Interesting.
So if you have 1 million people and it costs $1 million a month, that's a $1 per month. If 500,000 leave, your costs just doubled to $2 a month. If, you know, another, you know, 250,000 leave, now it's $4 a month. It's actually substantially more than that. But because people were fleeing Michigan, the cost of water was going up and up and up to the point where I guess what happened was Flint switched off of Detroit water into like Flint River water, which was nasty and then caused corrosion or something. But I digress. The point is, I started thinking about this and I'm like, water costs money to get to you. Food costs money. If high food prices result in civil war because people can't work enough to eat, then what happens if they can't work enough to drink any water? It'll be worse than a revolution because people will be trying to just steal water. Like water is the most valuable thing on the planet for people.
Well, it becomes such a double bind when you can't afford the gas that it costs to get to work. Like today, I commute 20 miles each way. And at first I was worried because Biden was talking about putting a tax per mile. But now I'm just concerned about the price of gas and how it's going to affect everything long term. It's only going to get higher. No, over here it's going to hit $4 soon. It was $3.50 earlier this week. And I was like, thank God that I make ends meet. But normal people who are just scraping by already, unsustainable. And what do? You can't even earn the money to buy the food.
You know what the craziest thing you could do right now is shut off electric vehicles. This was the stupidest thing these people could have tweeted. Because right now, the refuge is in electric vehicles. You're concerned about high gas prices. They come out and they say, well, buy electric. If Elon Musk has the ability to snap his fingers and turn my car off, and he does, that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
I suppose, though, with a lot of modern vehicles, they could do that to any car if it's gas powered.
Yeah.
Too. So you know what? Here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to buy a bunch of emergency food. I'm going to then buy a car from like early 1960s with no computer components in it or anything like that. An old Mustang or something.
Oh, yeah.
And just get ready for that solar flare or whatever.
We got to grow food, I think.
We are.
Big time. Indoor food. I think indoor food growing is the future and should be localized.
Oh, yeah.
Every human should have. We're working with this company called Eden Grow Systems right now, and they've got this NASA technology where you can grow like zucchini and strawberries inside. You get 4 of these standing things, can support 1 human indefinitely.
So we're going to get a 200-gallon aquarium, and we're going to put bantam chickens in it. They're like little tiny ones, and then we'll have miniature eggs every day. I'm just kidding. We're not.
I was getting excited.
So,
sounds good.
no, we are actually getting a big aquarium for raising babies in because we have 50.
Like actual babies?
Not human babies.
Oh, okay.
No,
Chicken
baby
babies.
chickens.
Because we have 54 eggs currently incubating.
You know that
they just keep making more of them, and we decided to turn more into
there.
chickens and just let them do their chicken thing.
the cost of gas going up is causing the cost of food to go up because it costs more to transport
Right.
the foods.
The diesel. I'm wondering if there's a way we can make a kind of fuel for a vehicle out of egg.
Oh my gosh.
And then we can take all the eggs we don't need. I bet we could because it
Yeah, but
ferments
we
in
want to eat
sulfur.
eggs. You know what I mean? You want to try to use something that has no other real application.
Yeah.
Like
Doesn't it-
grass.
Like leaves.
Oh, we should look into the water car. Stanley Meyer's water car. He had an engine.
Conspiracies.
1996. He patented this engine that could take him. He said in 22 hours, 22 gallons of water he could get from LA to New York. And then they wanted to buy his patent. They kept offering him all this money. They offered him $1 billion. He refused. He had a lunch meeting one day with a couple of investors, and in the middle of the lunch meeting, they poured him some cranberry juice. He runs out grabbing his throat, and his brother comes out and he's like, "They poisoned me," and he died.
I don't believe that story.
Look this guy up, Stanley Meyer. It is freakish.
Who told that story?
It's on the internet. There's video of him pouring water into the gas tank and being like showing. He goes down the river and he gets water out of the river, pours it into his tank, and turns his motorcycle on.
Yeah, but this could. So I don't know much about this. Is this the electrolysis vehicle? Because that's true. It's just the issue is it takes more energy to perform the electrolysis to get the fuel out of the.
What I was reading said that he was getting a net positive energy because the water was the additive energy.
No, so you need an electrical current to separate the base elements of the water to utilize the hydrogen.
Right.
So that the issue was the water car works. Everyone knows it works, but you need a greater charge externally to generate the fuel, to generate the electrolysis, which creates the fuel from the water.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you can just pour water in and drive. You need a battery, and it's just a kind of combustion.
Well, I'm gonna look more into this so I can bring a deeper understanding of Stanley Meyer's water car, because if we can use water as fuel, that would be revolutionary.
I think that it may be noble to think of these revolutionary things, man, but I think you got to obey the laws of thermodynamics, and we shouldn't get into wishful thinking.
Oh, but
I
the
don't see
energy,
any cops.
the energy
Yeah,
you
that's
put
right.
into it is the energy you're putting into it is the water. So it's not that you're getting more energy out. You already have the input.
Ian, I don't think you've read enough about this.
What happens if there's a drought?
You're right. That will exacerbate everything that's happening on Earth right now.
And what happens if people need to drink water and everyone starts pouring it in their cars and there's a water shortage and the price of water skyrockets and everyone starts fighting?
Yeah.
I think that's all going to happen inevitably
No, I
anyway,
think-
without it being a fuel.
I think there's a lot of people who want to believe in these magical solutions. They want to be like, we don't need fossil fuels. We don't need to drill. We don't need this. We can just power our heating and food with good intentions. You know, just put on a special headband and the whole machine just turns on with the good intentions of but one man. No, it just doesn't work that way. We need energy. Without energy, people die. So when Greta Thunberg comes out and says, how dare you to everybody, and she says, we won't wait until 2030 or not even 2023, we want it shut down now, it's like...
She annoys me. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
Yeah, right. I mean, that would kill millions of people, but okay.
No big deal.
That's an idea. Let's not do that. Moving on. Anybody else in the room have any thoughts? Because that was insane.
Well, it's fun. It's ironic because I think in the long run, them trying to push for these environmental policies right now is going to be way worse for the environment overall. Even like assuming those policies would actually be effective, because if there is one thing we have seen historically and worldwide, it's that environmentalism is a luxury. And so if you cripple our economy to the point where it can't bounce back, we are not going to be environmentalists. We're going to be doing everything that we can to try to survive.
Yeah, I think.
So Joe Biden keeping pipelines closed or trying to implement whatever other, energy independence, demolishing pro-climate measure is just going to make it more impossible and more difficult for our country to sustain itself and for our economy to survive, which means in the long run, there's going to be less potential to actually develop the technologies that would help improve the environmental circumstances that they're claiming are going to be to our detriment.
We're at like a launching period right now where we're creating the momentum to bounce off the diving board to dive into a future of energy off of fossil fuels. But in order to get that momentum, we need to use the fossil fuels.
Fusion.
Stuff like that. I think that's being repressed personally because the people in power are afraid that if an individual had infinite electricity, they lose control.
It's not infinite. And
it's not infinite, you're right.
No,
it's a slow burn.
I think the people who run the energy companies desperately want fusion to work so they can control it and own it. And then they're the barons of this massive energy supply. So it's good for them. They make money off it, baby.
How I don't think you can. If I had like a fusion generator in my house, I really don't want to derail this into me dreaming about my fusion generator. But
no, this is powerful companies that invest in new forms of energy because if they own that form of energy, you're dependent upon
if they
them.
have the only fusion generator. But if everyone's got their own.
No. If they own the fusion generators and the process, I mean, look, you're not going to have a home fusion generator. That's ridiculous.
That's what they want you to think.
We have small generators.
You have a fireplace in your house.
We have small generators you can power your house with, but it's not practical in the long term. You get a natural gas or diesel generator for your house. You turn it on sometimes, but you're not going to want to keep constantly putting fuel in it or whatever. Fusion's fantastic, generates a lot of energy, but it's not it's not infinite. Energy comes from somewhere. So you'll have a backup generator for those who have it, but the power plant will just be a fusion power plant. You'll pay your electric bill, and you'll be dependent upon the system. That's what they want.
You might be able to get a cold tabletop fusion generator, and then you just pour deuterium into it, which is heavy water with an added neutron, and then in a palladium lattice, and then you bombard it with electricity. And
you're talking about science fiction.
That's called cold fusion. I don't know if it's
science fiction. And the issue is there's not going to be some dude at his house who's like, let me just pour some heavy water into this machine and now I can power my house for 100 years.
Well,
it's just not
in
reality.
The ocean, I think it's like, I don't know what percentage. It's a very small percentage of the ocean water is heavy water. It's in nature. So you might just be able to pour water in and filter out the heavy water.
Right, but like you're talking about 100 years in the future. You're talking about science fiction.
I'm grabbing at straws because it is terrifying to think that we're hung up on oil still.
And it's going to be oil because oil works. Because oil
is profitable.
No.
And it does work.
It's profitable because it works.
It's profitable because they can control who has it.
No, Ian, you can't. When there's no wind, you got no wind power. When there's no sun, you got no solar power.
Well, when there's no wind generators, you have no wind power either.
When there's
no.
Yes, the issue is when it comes to wind and solar, they don't work sometimes. Fossil fuels work 24/7 so long as we're supplying the fossil fuels into the machines.
And if it's not too cold.
That's why it works. Nuclear power works.
Yes.
Nuclear power is also reliable, but for some reason, the establishment doesn't want nuclear power. I don't understand.
They got to sell you that oil, man.
Yeah. Also, I'll give you that one. We absolutely should be building more nuclear power plants, and we're not.
Yes, absolutely.
So they do want to sell us that oil. I suppose the fear is that if we get off oil too quickly, China or some other country swoops in and starts taking it. Plus, there's oil interests, potential for war. Like, what's China, Russia, or Saudi Arabia going to do if we're all of a sudden just like oil? No more petrodollar. I think one of the reasons we're so adamant on maintaining oil is not just because it works and it's got a high energy return on energy invested, but it's also because the U.S. uses it as a control mechanism.
I was thinking if John Rockefeller were alive today, that he would be really upset with what people did with his oil. This whole oil world. I don't think he intended for it to become a weird sociopathic monopoly. He was a pretty God-loving guy.
Government control?
Yeah, like he unleashed the beast of greed, of covetousness of this oil all over Earth. I don't think that was his intention.
I think the issue is you can't ship nuclear power, right? You build a nuclear power plant, You put small nuclear reactors in submarines and stuff, and they can power them. But if you want to transport energy and sell it and control the mechanism by which it's sold, the petrodollar, oil is a substance that can be moved all around the planet. You get everybody to buy and sell using U.S. currency, the reserve currency, and you own everything.
That makes sense.
And it's liquid too. You can.
Right, they don't want to give it up.
Pipelines and stuff.
That's right. And then you've got pipelines everywhere, and they don't want to give it up. But if we were to shift in the United States to nuclear or other renewables, then we would lose the ability to point the weapons at people and be like, buy it with our money or else.
Interesting. So how much oil is in Alaska? Is there any way that we could be energy independent by that?
Well, we were energy independent technically under Donald Trump. We were a
Right.
net exporter of oil.
Right.
And then as soon as Biden gets in, it's like time to start importing oil again. And it's funny because they're like, Biden didn't do anything. And I'm like, he ended oil and gas leases because of the climate cost. That was reported by the AP.
Right.
That's just, I'm not even going to say anything else. Joe Biden shut down oil and gas leases like a month ago.
Yeah, he did.
He was like, oh, the climate cost is too high. Okay, well, you know.
You made a good point that like caring about the environment is a luxury.
Yeah, it is.
Yo, it gets scary, man. I'm seeing discussion among the experts that if Russian imports are shut down, then gas could be over crude could be over $200 a barrel, and then we're looking at $7.50 or $8 a gallon.
Jeez.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We're gonna be on like horse and buggy again.
I know.
That's kind of cool though. Horses are fun.
That's all right.
You know, you
No,
can
yeah,
pet
that's
them.
fun. No, definitely.
Like I don't
Lovely.
car.
I don't love my car, but you
my
can hug a
car.
horse.
Instead of mechanics, you have to go to a vet.
Yeah,
It's gonna
exactly.
be
Yeah,
great.
that's good, yeah.
It'll be a really good time.
And it's funny because like when you're like in the carriage and the horse is walking, it lifts its tail up and just poops right there.
All over the
Yeah,
place.
And right on the but here's like right on the ground. Like when you're getting
Fertilizer. It's
Yeah,
great.
there you
Good
go.
for the
when
environment.
you're getting an oil change, you gotta go and you get to
That's
spoil.
true.
Why can't I just pour the oil down the sewer drain? You know, apparently you can't do it.
Yeah, you can't.
But if your horse takes a dump, no problem.
Really
Perfect.
good stuff.
Yeah.
You put jingle bells on your horse.
That's right.
And then at
Yeah.
night,
You're selling this idea.
I
that's
know
when
this
the
idea.
horse. When it's dark at night and you hear jing jing jing
Yeah.
jing jing. You know how
There it
fast
is.
the horse is running and how far away from you it is. That's why they put bells on the horses.
What would road rage look like?
With horses.
What did road rage look like with horses? Like
think
rear
we'll-
people with like a saber on the right side, or the guy riding shotgun with an actual shotgun.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not going to say it didn't exist, but also I think part of the reason you have road rage is just because of the anonymity of being behind the wheel. If you're on horses and you're like looking at the other guy, I think people are a little bit less tough.
Howdy, neighbor.
When
Yeah.
you're going slower.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going slower. You're
Yeah,
like,
but people also had swords and guns.
no,
all
it's
the
true. I'm
time.
not like
Dueling,
like I'm saying people got into fights and they were angry, but I think
No, what I
part of-
mean
a
is
big part of the
they-
reason why there's so much road. No, I get what you're saying too. That there's a deterrent there. Someone's actually going to fight you.
They used to
Yeah.
duel.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
People,
Why
yeah,
did
people
dueling
in
stop?
government used to duel.
Yes.
That was literally a thing.
There's
Yeah.
actually a movie about the Last Duel. Did you guys see that
No,
one?
what is it?
Some French guy. I gotta look into it.
Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently, what did they say? Hamilton didn't really expect to shoot Aaron Burr. He thought it was going to be a gentlemanly honor thing and that they would duel, but he would intentionally miss and they would move on. But Aaron Burr was like, I'm going to kill
But
this guy.
Also,
and then
why would
shot him in the
you
stomach.
assume that?
You
That's
can't.
just
It's not a safe
gonna let someone
assumption.
point a gun at you and like it's okay, they won't shoot me.
Bro, like, I don't think those things were very accurate. And so they're kind of like, walk 10 paces, turn around, there's a bang, we go home. But the guy
Yeah.
got him. He got him.
Yikes.
So, lost his life. And then apparently the younger generation was offended by it and was like, people should stop dueling. And I'm kind of like, I don't know. Some states still have mutual combat. I
Yeah.
think Oregon has mutual combat, right?
Interesting. I'll have to look that up. I don't know.
How
Yeah.
about we do that for the next presidential election?
Yes.
Mutual
I
combat.
love this.
Yeah.
Little
We
do
could,
it.
we like
Black
try,
belt
trial by combat for the presidency
Yeah.
of the United States.
Yes.
Or what is it? What is it?
Just put them in
No.
a ring. UFC.
Yes.
The children of Joe Biden and Donald Trump are entitled to enter a ring and challenge each other. Only the presidential families.
We had a TV host, radio personality, and Donald Trump be president. I wouldn't be surprised if we have two fighters that fight for the presidency in the next 100 years. I wouldn't be surprised the way it's going.
Yeah. Washington and Texas are the only two states that still allow mutual combat. So.
Washington.
Yeah, Washington, not Oregon.
This thing about the Last Duels from 1386, it's a movie that just came out last year in medieval France. Jean de Carouge, I don't know how you pronounce that exactly.
Yeah, we were dueling
Jacques
in the
Le
U.S.
Cri.
like
yeah, it
a
was
couple
the
hundred years
last
ago.
Yeah.
duel. Interesting.
It was like the last legal duel, I think, in Europe. I'm not
Huh.
100% sure.
They were ahead
Should
of us.
dueling be legal?
Yeah, what do you think?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that a design?
You were just ready
She's
with that
ready.
one. You're like, absolutely.
Why?
Why? Because judging by social media, a lot of people are
Ready.
are ready, and they pretend they're tougher than they are. So I would like to actually do an experiment just for science.
I think we solved all of our problems.
Yeah.
To all the Great Reset, World Economic Forum people who want to depopulate, bring back dueling.
Perfect.
And for all those who don't like cancel culture, let the cancel culture people duel each other. It's win-win.
Yeah.
Here's the
Everyone
thing.
just goes outside and starts fighting.
Our country is so polarized that, like, for the first week when people were talking about bringing dueling back, everyone would be like, yeah, let's do it. And then when it came time to do it, it would happen for like a week, and then people would be like, all right, like, I really don't want to do this anymore.
No, you'd get the right being like, guys, this is ridiculous. We can't just start fighting each other and killing each other. And the left would be like, you're a bigot. Dueling should be allowed as tradition for various cultures. And then as soon as the right says, okay, fine, we agree, let's start dueling, they'll be like, well, we actually think dueling is wrong. We've evolved on the issue. They just would never agree on it. It's just not allowed.
This movie's about the last what's called judiciary duel held in France, and then later it was 1547 was the last legal duel in France. I guess we're still doing them in the United States.
Interesting.
I think we should have actual trial by combat, like at a court. It's like you walk in and the judge is like, we have the case of, the state versus John Smith. You are speeding. You're going 30 and you're going 30 miles over in a 45. I would like to fight the officer, Your Honor. Like, that like the floor expands into an arena, and the
Joust.
cop is like, you're like gotta wrestle.
The guy takes his wig off, and he's like, they're all going like, fight.
That would be awesome.
Cops would be very worried about, like, they pull a guy over and he's like 6'7" and super ripped, and he's like, you have a good day, sir.
Yeah, that's been nice.
Let him go.
If they did let the presidents duel for combat for experience, would they be able to like claim like a champion? Like, would Biden be able to bring a champion in to fight for him?
No.
Wait,
He's too old to fight.
be
No,
Wait, I got
Too old to fight, you're too old to be president, bro.
Exactly.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Perfect.
I got a
Yeah.
legitimate. I got an actual idea. Here's what we do. International law. We would need some way to enforce it, but the idea would be, if a war were ever to break out, instead the firstborn children of both countries' world leaders have to fight to the death,
Oh my.
Ooh.
and the winner wins the war.
Spicy.
So you'd have like, Putin's son would be like crazy ripped, and then Zelensky's son or whatever. And if they don't have a son, then they have to fight.
They themselves have to
I wonder if I'm kidding, obviously, with that idea, but I'm wondering if forcing the leaders to put themselves on the line or their families
That's
would
a
be a
good
deterrent
idea.
for war.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that, even if it's not a dueling thing, just in terms of if there was a war, send them first. Send the firstborn child, see how, see
They
if
would be
change their
like,
mind.
I would not like to have this war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they would still do it, and then the military would ensure that their kid was never on the front lines. They'd be
No,
hanging out in the
arena
tent.
duel. Like,
Okay, we're talking
everyone
an actual
shows up,
duel.
and there's a big, ring, and they bring the children of the world leaders who are going to war, and then, no, here's what it would be. The person declaring war has to send their son, and if no son themselves, and the person being challenged can elect anyone they want.
So here's what happens. Every world leader adopts a kid they don't care about. Never see.
I said
They
firstborn.
never see that. Oh, well, they could just adopt a kid before they have any children.
I said firstborn or themselves.
You'll be like, I'm not gonna have kids till after I declare my wars.
then they personally have
then
to
they have
fight.
to
Wait
go.
until I'm old.
Never
Yeah,
mind.
and then the person who's the declaree, the person who's getting war, can choose anybody. So like Putin would be like, we're going to war in Ukraine, and it's like, all right, it's you or your son who's
Defender's
going to be.
advantage.
And then Zelensky would just be like, I'm going to find some great MMA dude and have him do it. There you go.
I have a feeling that is how it used to be, and then they were like, we got to start telling them that we're gods, so they stopped making us go to war with them.
We
so my
watched,
kid can get treated with royalty.
We watched Troy this weekend. You guys ever see Troy?
No.
No.
And it's like Achilles challenges the prince to a battle. I don't know. Basically, like, he walks up to the gate by himself, and they're at war, and he's like, Hector! And then they come out and they fight one-on-one with all the soldiers watching. And it's kind of crazy to think, because I can't imagine that if like a U.S. Marine walked up to like an Al-Qaeda base or an ISIS base and yelled, al-Baghdadi, you challenge me. They would just be like, bang.
Yeah.
Next. Like, that was ridiculous. What was that all about? But in these old stories, there was like honor in war, and like you would challenge someone to a fight. In fact, in the movie, the brother of Agamemnon, I think it was, challenges Paris, the prince of Troy, to a duel for his wife or whatever. And it's like all the armies are standing there watching, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Did they really do that?
The stories say that they did, that they would send their best warrior out, and then the other side would send their best warrior, and it was whoever won would basically decide the battle, so you don't have to throw a bunch of people's lives away.
Yeah. Maybe we should still do that.
I think ballistics changed everything.
There's
They
that
mastered the art of firing weapons.
the opening scene is like Sparta is, confronting this other nation, and they have this big, super ripped guy who's their champion, and then Achilles comes out and just runs up and then like takes a sword, one-shots him like in the neck, and then he's like, rah, and then the leader of the enemy, the other side says like, give this scepter to our king, for he rules our country, and like that's how it was. I'm like, man, that made things so much easier, I guess. It's like, you're the boss now. You have become the president of this country because you killed some dude, a guy who was like our guy, and you beat him.
There's pros and cons to that, because you could get a really strong dude that whoops the other guy's butt, but then ends up being an absolute idiot. So,
Yeah, but now it's just whoever's the best at gossiping.
Yeah.
We're like, yes, you win. You can run the country now. You made him look bad and yourself look good. And that's it.
It's kind of crazy how things have gotten to this point.
It is.
Russia is absolutely terrible at information war. So it's like, with all the censorship, with all the cutting off, it looks like what we're seeing with China, with India, with Mexico as countries, they're actually scared to get involved and help Russia out. Because it looks like they're like, nah, Russia's been canceled. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting that an entire country could be canceled? And one of the things I was thinking about was, who do you think that cutting off a Tesla would affect most? You think that would affect Putin? You really think that would affect the military? Or would it affect Olga, who's trying to take Dmitry to the grocery store and buy groceries for their family? Like, who do you really think this is going to affect? I'm like, do you want a civil war in Russia? Do you want them focused on themselves?
Yes.
I guess maybe that's an approach.
But I think, what you end up seeing with this is just the Russian people genuinely hating the rest of the world for doing it.
Right.
Like, why are you attacking me? What did I do? Putin was right.
Right.
That's what they're going to say.
Well, we've already seen those huge protests, right, of Russians who aren't interested in going to war with Ukraine. Like, these are the normal people who don't like what Putin is doing. And we're punishing them. We're taking away all their entertainment. We're taking away their ability to pay anything. I'm talking about cutting off their Teslas, for Pete's sake.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.